Hello, everybody. My name is Lucia Larcon. I am a PhD candidate of the University of Seville, and I was looking forward to joining you in this congress, as it is my second time here. In the previous edition, I talked about the notion of the monster in love in literature, specifically in the figure of Severus Snape. This time I've changed the topic and I'll be focused on The Basketball Diaries by Jim Carroll. But I've also noticed the echoes of the Beat Poet Society and on his working. So I hope you enjoy this presentation. And without further delay, how did I come up with this idea? Well, a long time ago, I was watching a movie starring by Leonardo DiCaprio, Basketball Diaries, as it is the name of the book in Spanish, Diario de un Rebelde. And it shocked me a lot. All the ways in which that he found to get drugs. After the movie, I found out that it was based on a true story, true event, and I felt a necessity to discover who the man between the lines was. In this case, was Jim Carroll. So as soon as I dived into the Basketball Diaries, I recognized the literary patterns that he had in common with the Beat Poet's works. And the first names that came to my mind were William Burroughs with his Junkies, in that's a confessional writing, talking, dealing with drug addiction, which is one of the main concerns of the Basketball Diaries as well. Secondly, Allen Ginsberg with his Howl, criticizing the impact of capitalism in the USA society. And of course, other titles came to my mind, as it can be the case of On the Road. It might be taken into consideration that Jim Carroll was also influenced by, he was born in 1949, and he was influenced by Frank O'Hara and among others, other poets that I've just mentioned, and in terms of music by Bob Dylan. He belonged to the working class, and this is why he seems to be against of the posh atmosphere and full of the richest families that he found when he got a scholarship to the Catholic and private school when playing basketball. Okay. What I would like to highlight the most about his writings is the capacity that he had to mix the poetic creation together with diary entries that narrate his life from 1963 to 1966. So throughout his novel, you can notice the main topics coincide with the counter-cultural movement once. Okay. And I'll play special focus on the topics. And the first one, well, here I have prepared a brainstorm about the key words that you will find along the lines of the Basketball Diaries: heroin, abuse, sex, basketball, cocaine, poetry, and grass. Okay. And the first topic that I would like to talk about is drugs. Okay. Talking about drinkers or junkies as he did, he always did it with empathy, because I think that he was aware of the fact that that he had the possibility to end up like them, because they shared the same backgrounds, the same neighborhood. So he was aware of the fact that of the possibility that he could be in their shoes once. So he don't judge the book by its cover, right? And this is I believe that this is probably one of the lessons that Jim Carroll wanted to leave us at the end of the Basketball Diaries. At the age of 15, he took heroin for the first time, and he was convinced. So he wanted to be high all the time because to some extent, he associates freedom and being under the effect of drugs. Okay, so what is more, he compares the shots of heroin with having 10 orgasms in a row. I would like to highlight the episode of the ups and downs during the basketball match. They took his friends and him took pills without being aware of the possible secondary effects, and they ended up before the basketball match, and they ended up being expelled from the team. This is a very graphic scene in the book, but it is also in this way. It is really shocking. Such a shocking scene in the movie, in the DiCaprio movie, and I'm convinced that he did it as a matter of identity to distinguish himself among those posh classmates who he was surrounded by. Okay. And here I have included a fragment in which he recognizes he is noticing that he is becoming an addict with heroin. But one morning you wake up suddenly, your nose is running and your eyes tearing, under leg and back muscles start feeling tight and heavy. This is summer. This belongs to summer 1965. He also uses drugs when having sex with girls, and another sex is an important, such a relevant topic throughout the basketball diaries. There is this episode of that attempt of abuse by hands of Benny, Lefty, called, because Jim Carroll calls the coach, the manager of the team, Lefty, because he stared at the guys in the toilets before the training sessions. So, but his official name is Benny. So Benny offered Carroll to sleep with him the weekend trip when still playing in the mid league. And I have included a fragment in which he's narrating a masturbation episode, and here would make sense. The fact that I've mentioned one of the main characteristics of Jim Carroll is the capacity of create poetry out of, I don't know, banal situations, okay? And you feel an incredible power being naked under a dawn of stars while the giant city is dressed and dodging cars all around 5 flights down. This belongs to spring 1964, okay? Finally, one of the main topics that I would like to deal with is the matter of friendship. At the beginning, all the narrations related to this topic are like a common theme. He narrates how they hang out to jump off the cliffs, but then it gets darker and darker when he starts to get drugs. Some of his friends don't want to go downhill, as it happened to Jim Carroll, and they stopped going out with him. They didn't want to follow his lead, and he started to feel alone. And this is one of the main causes why he decided to make a change. He was convinced that he needed to make a change for the better. The episode that impressed me the most was the one dedicated to Bobby Sachs. He was one of his best friends, and he suffered from leukemia, and he died very young. What is more, in the words of Jim Carroll, he looked 60 years old and he was 16. Okay, he was not ready to watch the body of his friend, as he did explain, right? Readers noticed that Jim Carroll was so young when he confesses that he has never seen a body in the coffin. Okay, even when his grandma's died, his parents didn't want him to go to the funeral. So he's unready for facing this kind of situations. And what is more, that he had nightmares about the nights after Bobby died. Okay, and in the movie they gave more details about this. Okay, so finally, once he has started to feel alone because everybody has left him, he makes a decision to quit drugs and go into rehab. What I like the most about the Basketball Diaries is that he's 100% honest. He's brutally honest. As one of my professors in the Writing the Self course of the master's degree stated, writing is a confession. So he had been purely honest with the paper. It is true that he is sometimes explicit, but because he seems to be like writing the first things that come to his mind. But this is what I found charming about his narrations. And in Winter in '66, Jim Carroll affirms that the more he reads, the more he wants to write. It seems that it turns out to be that writing for him, it has been therapeutic, and he has found finally a room for himself outside of drugs. Okay, the poetry, some reviewers, some critics says that the poetry of Jim Carroll hovers above the pages of his diary. I have included here the passage in which he realizes that he needs to make change. Nice June day out today. Lots of people probably graduating. I got to go in and puke. I just want to be pure. Okay. The Basketball Diaries has also a sequel. The film adaptation was totally blockbuster. It was really successful. And together with Patti Smith, Andy Warhol, or Larry Rivers, he became the recognized one of the most popular figures of the New York art scene in the 70s, sorry. And that's all. I hope you have enjoyed this, and thank you very much for your attention. I'll be glad to answer all your questions. Bye.